play for 4 points in pre-season, and it certainly doesn't dictate the ladder, but it does reveal your direction. And this game, it really wasn't about the 15-point margin. It was about the transition. Carlton stepping into life without Charlie Curnow. Brisbane showcasing their depth, while defending back-to-back premierships. Strip away the scoreboard, and this was about identity. How do Carlton score goals? How does Brisbane handle the pressure when their premiership spine isn't there? Because pre-season football isn't about wins. It's about how you win. If you enjoy these breakdowns, please make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Helps the channel grow. Give it a hype at the end. We're doing this for every watch along, so a lot of your teams will feature. So let's unpack this properly. So before we touch on the game itself, there was a few absentees, and that's very important. Saw a few of you comment last week about Hawthorn and tried to make the win sound a bit better than it did. But Charlie Cameron, Hugh McCluggage, Cam Rayner, Sam Draper, Eric Hipwood, Dodie, Jack Payne, Noah Ainsworth, plus several depth pieces were missing for Brisbane. Carlton, they were missing Cripps, Wheaterin, Newman, Akers, Haynes, Cottrell, Cowan, O'Farrell, and of course, this is a Carlton side that is now permanently without Charlie Curnow. So this wasn't first choice. It was system under dress rehearsal, and that's what pre-season really showcases valuable. So the game itself, Brisbane, they burst out of the blocks. 6 goals to 2. Missed tackle led to the first within 30 seconds. Zac Bailey was ridiculous. And it wasn't just scoreboard dominance, it was territory. They owned the corridor access very early. Will Ashcroft physically ahead and anyone on the field. His brother Levi pushed forward and hit the scoreboard, and Zac Bailey looked menacing. The Lions' ball movement was clean and layered, and their system was apparent. Carlton's system is reactionary. Their defensive spread wasn't good enough. Their halfbacks were constantly outnumbered in transition, and without Wheaterin anchoring the backline, Brisbane did what they wanted inside 50. Structurally superior, leading by 4 goals, they were in real control. Second quarter, it shifted. Carlton, they doubled their workload, and that was the big takeaway in this game. Brisbane rely on system, Carlton rely on input and output in effort. They slowed Brisbane's first possession, they forced more lateral ball movements, they began winning the ground ball and really pressuring when kicks didn't hit the target. And the post-Curnow identity emerged. Ben Ainsworth was outstanding, not just because of his 4 goals this game, but because he did what all small forwards do. Front and centre, forward pressure, repeat efforts, intercepts from the front half. Carlton lean heavily into chaos, less aerial reliance, more ground level pressure, more forward half turnovers. Will Haywood complemented this perfectly. Constant outlet, 2 goals, strong pressure, elite movement. By half-time, the margin had narrowed, but Brisbane's early control had shifted. In the third term, this was really exciting. Both teams looked a little bit more organised. Both teams had strung massive changes. This is where the role became more of an experimental factor as opposed to expectation. It became clearer. Kitty Coleman, after starting forward, drifted back. Lincoln McCarthy becoming an older-aged halfback distributor. Oscar Allen constantly presented before he went off with concussion protocols. Jagga Smith, though, after his first quarter, his second quarter was ridiculous, not just through volume, but moments. He cut off players like Levi Ashcroft, came off his man to intercept, danced through congestion, and hit inside 50 really well, and even got a goal for his efforts. Momentum felt really balanced, and then in the final term, this is where Carlton created that separation. 4 goals to 1, 3 of those from Talor Byrne. Pick in the late second, third round, 18 years old, and didn't hesitate. Sharp movement, direct attack on space, good pressure, but more importantly, goals. He's put his hand up for round 1 and definitely one of the guys that we didn't expect to be in the mix. Carlton's intensity was definitely higher. They hunted in numbers, they locked the ball in. Brisbane looked slightly fatigued, but one thing stood out. Brisbane are a system-based side, and that system is elite. This win doesn't matter for Brisbane as it did for Carlton. Carlton needed the vibes going into the season, definitely needed that injection. Brisbane, though, there's no worries for them. They're still going to be a dominant force in the AFL. Let's zoom out a bit. Harry Mackay kicked 1 goal. Harris Andrews largely contained him. Previously, that would have been game over for Carlton. Instead, Ainsworth 4 goals, Byrne 3, Haywood 2. Multiple contributors for a goal each. It's a redistribution. It's less focal point dependent. It's more harder to read. It's more consistent, pressure driven, forward half turnover, less predictable, quicker. The question now for me is sustainability. Carlton have a DNA. It isn't playing pretty little football like the other teams. It's been a little bit loose, been a little bit uncoordinated, but with pressure and effort and intensity, it masks a lot of Carlton's problems. Midfield balance really excited me for the Blues. Sam Walsh and Jagga, they only had bit parts, but George Hewitt did what he did. Mark Pitternet, for me, looks strong in the ruck. Jagga Smith is that long-term missing chess piece. He doesn't just dominate, he just integrates. He makes it all go. Clean running, gut running, great synergy with Walsh. One of the few players in our team that hits handballs in traffic. Very meaningful. I haven't seen a player that clean below his feet for a long time in navy blue. Adam Cerra is a hamstring concern for the Blues. Given his history, that's not minor. If he misses early games, though, Carlton do have the midfield depth, and I think that could be something that Carlton look at. Cooper Law didn't disgrace himself in the minutes he was given. Brisbane, still a premiership system. They were exposed. They were incomplete. And even incomplete, they still kicked 13 goals at will. Will Ashcroft looks ready, as I said in pre-season, to really get into the top echelon of footballers. Levi Ashcroft looked ridiculous. Zac Bailey, oh my good lord, and Dane Zorko accumulated strongly. That system absolutely sings. But ground ball defence inside 50 was slightly vulnerable, but it is a practice game. You want your conditioning and your continuity. It's not a structural alarm, it's merely an intensity alarm, and I think if 4 points were played, we would have seen a lot more head over the ball. What does this mean? Carlton win. Their pressure inside 50 was good though. They generated repeat stoppages. They shared the scoring. But they will lose when they revert to that predictable aerial strategy. It was there quite a few times. Their midfield is very open on transition. Brisbane, they look strong. When they control the territory, game over. The small forwards, they will capitalise as games go on. And the halfbacks won't be so shallow when the ball hits the deck. The transition defence, though, was stretched at times, but I think that improves when the season starts. Ground level, again, when the pressure's there. Now, so before we move on to the SuperCoach, we need to talk about the SSP, because this game wasn't just about round 0 selection for the Blues. It was about the fight for list spots. And Carlton currently have possibly 2 supplemental selection period selections and 2 names are fighting for 1 spot, potentially 2. We'll start with my boy, Wade Derksen. He played in defence, and that matters. He was a VFL Team of the Year as a defender, as well as a GWS VFL goal-kicking champion. And this is very rare versatility. And in this hit-out, what stood out wasn't the highlight plays, it was his positioning. He read the drop of the ball incredibly well. Closed space very quickly, didn't overcommit early, which is a key point, and looked incredibly comfortable at the level. Now, when you zoom out, this is really important because Carlton are currently without Wietering, Haynes, Newman, and O'Farrell. 3 of them can play that key position. Haynes very loosely, but can play it. O'Farrell's out for the year, and Wietering will get back. So there is a lot of tall and intercept depth pressure out there. They also got rid of Jack Silvani. So for me, if you're list management, Wade Derksen showed the Jack Silvani traits. He was reliable. He defended first. He didn't do anything hard. He just plugged and played and did his job. And that will free up Jacob Wietering long term. If you're reading the body language, he looks extremely close to a list spot. He looked incredibly calm and was a breath of fresh air, and I felt like he outshone some more senior heads, considering he hasn't played an AFL game. Lidge, fan favourite of this channel, and he's fighting for another chance. And that creates a sense of urgency. Now, he didn't dominate the stat sheet, but he was clean, he was balanced, positionally, he was very sound, and he's probably added a little bit of arsehole about him in the off-season. But he did look like a fringe player, trying to do too much. Sometimes in these SSP scenarios, players overplay. Hollands, I didn't think he did. Given his structure, he kept his width, stayed away from stoppage when he had to, he moved there when he needed to. He used the ball well, he tried to link up cleanly, And there was some nice little Hollands. With Cerra having a bit of a hammy issue, suddenly become a little bit more relevant because suddenly the way that Hollands plays can fit onto the wing, play that half-forward role, but also pinch hit in the midfield. He becomes a system-friendly acquisition. And that matters, particularly the way that Voss plays the game. These players have to know their roles. You saw it with Will Hayward playing that more Motlop role of higher up the ground. When you understand your role, when you're pretty good, it does work. So my read on the version is I feel like Derksen is a lock because tall depth is currency. But Hollands is very much alive. He's definitely done enough throughout the preseason. I would be shocked if Carlton don't pick both of these up because both realistically could be in a round zero team. So for them, it wasn't a pre-season game. It was almost a dress rehearsal, a job interview, if you will. And both candidates, for me, strengthened their case. So let's go through the role-driven estimates for SuperCoach scores. Ben Ainsworth, 113. He was particularly impressive. Can he continue that 4 goals every game? Probably not. Will Hayward, with his 72, he was really strong in the link-up play. Jagga Smith and Sam Welch, 43 and 41, respectively, from about 50% of game time. For Brisbane, Dane Zorko, he's 119. As always, heavily reliable, the primary ball user down back. Will Ashcroft and Levi Ashcroft, 98 and 82 respectively. Will Ashcroft looks like he's going to go big this year. And Zac Bailey was a constant threat with a projected 98. The takeaways are role drive scoring in SuperCoach. So Lincoln McCarthy, although going around about the 45-point mark, this could be one to watch should he play a full game. That old man accumulator down the halfback has great success in SuperCoach. See Dane Zorko. We might have another easy outlet ball here. So definitely one to watch in the next couple of weeks. Jagga keeps his midfield. His price point is ridiculous. Going at an 80 for full games, you can't ignore him. He should be in your team. Carlton will leave encouraged. Forward high line is evolved. It looks genuine. Youth integration progressed. And the scoring spread is no longer 2 guys. Brisbane, steady. Still structured, still deep, still incredibly dangerous. They'll want sharper late game execution, yes, but it was a practice match for them that win, lose or draw, they wouldn't really get anything out of it. For Carlton, they got some vibes. They got an energy shot, and that was very much needed. And it reveals the direction of both clubs. So drop your thoughts below. Was this Carlton showcasing a new way? Is it just the pre-season energy? And Lion fans, are you reassured or are you worried? You shouldn't be, but let me know. I want to hear from you. Please hit the like and subscribe. Consider hyping this. We'll do this every time we have a watch along, so you're going to get 3 reviews minimum a week from different clubs. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Pommy and Oz. I'll see you tonight for the St Kilda Gold Coast game. I'll see you for that review tomorrow.